This is season 3.
Welcome to season 3. Today I had a flashback also to the I'm gonna fuck my tractor song that I made up at one point during this shit show. I can't remember.
That's what our theme song should be.
I'm gonna go back and find it. Fucking watch me.
Please somebody make us a theme song so I'm gonna fuck my tractor doesn't have to be our theme song.
Yeah, this is a threat. I'm going to do it. I will do it. But yeah, here we are, season 3, and about to start the longest set of parent points of view of all time. It's... I don't know if the microphone got that, but Sally just whimpered. It was super sad. Well, hey, this is Everybody Hates Rand, season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is it my turn or your turn?
I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I've gotten over my bitchiness about it.
Well, it's your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. Next time, you'll do it. I'll remember somehow.
Okay.
I've never remembered anything in my life. I'm like a
That's
goldfish.
correct.
But I have faith. That
Beautiful
this time,
goldfish.
a stupid, stupid goldfish. Anyway, EHR, Friendly Neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Jushaw.
And I'm Sally Goodger.
Here we are, season 3. I'm gonna fuck my tractor.
No.
Yep.
Please save me. Please, someone.
Here's your spoiler alert. I have a feeling that especially during season 3 we'll be talking about spoilers because a lot of what happens in this book is demonstrative of what happens throughout the rest of the books. So just keep that in mind.
We should first... Okay, also, this is your titular PSA. Everybody Hates Rain does not refer to you. Please don't DM me.
You kept that short. I like it. Short and sweet.
I feel like before anything, we need to talk about the cover of the Dragon Reborn.
Do you mean the cover in general or my mutated cover that is literally held together with Gorilla Tape?
Both.
What's really upsetting about the Gorilla Tape is that I've completely had, since Matt is on the spine, usually, he's just completely gone.
You've redacted Matt.
I know, the least redactable character, arguably.
And we would know as we've been systematically redacting Gawyn's name from every Patreon book that we send out.
Yeah,
so.
That's a spoiler alert. If you give us $5 on Patreon, we'll send you a graffitied Wheel of Time book, and literally the first thing we do with every copy is go through and delete Gawyn's name.
Yeah, so it's really worth your money.
It is. Hopefully we catch all of them. Sometimes
Yeah.
I really, it haunts me that I
know.
might have missed
I'm gonna
one.
start sending a contract with every book that's like, if you find an unredacted Gawyn name, you have to redact it.
Yeah, you have to delete
They'll
it.
be legally binding.
You send us $5 on Patreon. You also have to send us, I don't know, a small vial of your blood so we can make a soul contract.
Yeah, it's that you will redact Gawyn's name if you see it.
Because he's the worst character of all time.
Oh, yeah, raging douchebag.
Anyway, yeah, this cover is, wow, a lot.
I have two primary thoughts. The first is that coming from the Eye of the World and the Great Hunt, which are, though the Eye of the World is bright and blue, it's like a cool color. You've got lots of blues and greens and blacks. So I appreciate the Dragon Reborn's commitment to being bright red and orange. Mm-hmm. Because these are colors that appeal to me, aesthetically speaking. My second thought is that Perrin looks like a rejected Mortal Kombat character on the cover, and I hate it.
I have a few more thoughts. One is that Rand is clearly wearing jeans.
Oh my god, what? Let me see. Oh my god, he is! Like, you can even see seams.
I just have questions about Rand's whole outfit. Sarah McClintock, if you have any insights, let me know. But, what's his little half cape doing? He's wearing a glove on one hand. Either that or it's, weirdly in shadow. And this is just poor illustration. He's got, 6 belts. And his shirt is very lacy.
His shirt is the worst. I've never seen an uglier shirt.
I hate him.
I know, and he's also, holding his stupid glass sword above his head, but it's floating because, you get it, it's a King Arthur thing.
Yeah, and also, that's dumb. You'd think, I want him to actually be pulling it out of the stone. Although, does he in this book? He puts it in the stone.
He puts it in the stone, and then I'm like, could you be any more dramatic?
I know, I'm like, please. That
is
a
it
very
still
dramatic
in the
moment.
stone? How long is it in the stone?
Until he gets it out in, I think, the book you're on.
8?
Yes. He gets it out and is like, I'm gonna fight the Shanshin with this, and then that goes terribly.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, predictable, eh? Anyway, yeah, Perrin's wearing a headband and a, like, one of those fur vests, like, and nothing else. So it's just generally troubling. Like, where's his shirt? Who stole it? Did Rand take it? Because he's got too many, clearly. And Matt, who I can't see, but
let me get our other copy of the Dragon Reborn.
I think he looks pretty normal.
No, Matt, again, looks kind of like he's 40.
Yeah, they always do.
Matt is very lacy. If we're gonna talk about lacy boys, like, look at this. Oh, boy.
I mean, Rand in particular
Why does Perrin have a shield?
What? He has a shield? Oh, God. Why is his headband that long? Why? You could grab that and, like, pull his head back and slit his throat. That's why you don't have long hair.
This is just final proof that the artist never read this, because Rand looks like, I don't know what's going on here. Perrin looks ridiculous, and Matt just is, like, full twink. Like, elegant twink.
Matt is very twinky in this cover. Yeah. Which is a little weird, because Matt is, like, hard to say whether he's a twink or not. He might be too tall.
Yes.
And he has the energy of a twink.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's got, like, you want to classify him that way, but I think that Matt defies classification.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as we've discussed on this podcast previously, there are fitness twinks and what's the other one?
What is the other one?
God, I fucking can't remember.
Fitness twinks and
soft twinks.
Soft twinks, I think.
Yeah, and Matt has an entirely different category, which is chaos twink, which
I just don't know if I'd call Matt a twink at all.
Just chaos.
Just chaos.
Just
like, there's no gender. He's just chaos.
He is the embodiment of chaos. I also have a question. This is called the sequel to The Great Hunt, which is, like, technically true, but do we really want to market it that way?
No.
You want people to pick this up not knowing that it is even related distantly to The Great Hunt.
I think, don't all of them say, like, sequel to the book before?
And I'm always like, yeah, but that's a little bit of a misconception.
Yeah. Because it's like, just let someone know straight up that this is book 11 out of 14.
Exactly. Don't try and trick people into buying the book. You poor fools. There's also ale on the back, and they're just like...
Oh, what the fuck?
Chilling, looking, also like rejected Mortal Kombat characters. I'm trying to figure out what Rand looks like exactly.
Oh, there are ale on the back. I literally never know that. And then there's, like, some type of demon on the spine.
It's like his application to clown school was rejected.
Rand? Yeah.
And so he became a pimp instead.
This looks like it should be some type of, like, 1991 avant-garde Versace ad.
He looks like he raided my grandma's opera closet.
Does your grandma have an opera closet?
No, I just feel like if she had a specific wardrobe for the opera, that shirt would be in it.
You're right.
Okay, we have to talk about the actual fucking book.
One last comment. I'm very deeply, constantly confused as to why the D and the R in the Dragon Reborn are bright blue.
D-R.
Doctor Sex Gun. Doctor
Opera Closet.
Yeah.
Oh, we already found the title. There it is.
Dr. Opera Closet.
Okay.
Let's talk about Dr. Opera Closet. Actually, no, let's talk about the Inquisition. Sorry, I keep bumping the table.
It's okay. Yeah, the prologue tragically brings us back to the White Cloaks, which it did in the last book as well, and I think periodically we check in with these guys in the prologue, I guess because Robert Jordan was like, I need them in there, but I don't want to let them into the story proper.
I guess.
Which is an understandable sentiment because they're the worst.
Yeah, they kind of suck ass.
Yeah, it starts with Jarrett Byer reporting his skewed version of events at Falm. He's like, there's a false dragon and the Aes Sedai are on their side and everyone's dead. I don't know.
Is Jarrett Byer a redneck?
No, it's funny. I should give this accent to Rand, Matt, and Perrin because they're clearly West Virginians.
Oh my god, if Rand the Dragon Reborn had the thickest southern accent, could you believe that would be so iconic? If he just rolls up and is like, Neil Aes Sedai. I would lose my mind.
I think it's Master Tim who says that. But Neil Aes Sedai,
or
you will be nailed.
I think it is Master Tim. I don't know why I always think Rand said, what if they all just have southern accents?
I'm in a box.
Kneel, I said I, or you will be nailed.
What is it about that accent that I... Me and my 3 girlfriends. I'm gonna put my...
This is the one time on the podcast I've made Emily laugh harder than she's made me laugh. I'm very proud. She has to go get her Diet Coke now out of the fridge.
I'm sobbing. Okay, that's a bit that's definitely going to be returning in the future. I'm just warning you right now.
It'll start every episode. That's the new theme song.
Yeah, the fucking Inquisition, and Byers being an asshole as always, but Pedro Nile is somehow being more of an asshole.
Yeah, it's like an asshole competition.
It's an asshole convention up here in Amadicia, or wherever the fuck they are.
I always thought it was Amadicia.
You could definitely be right.
Like, a little bit like an Italian vibe
Yeah,
to
no,
it.
I like that, especially because it's kind of got more of a Renaissance Italian vibe in terms of, like, not really having a government.
Yeah. The Renaissance was a truly wild time.
I know, the Medicis were just like, whatever, we've got our statue boys
and
making fuckable statues, and that's about the only contribution we're making to society.
Yeah, Michelangelo was just out there to make everything real gay.
Yeah, they're like, eventually the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will be named after us, but that is the only thing we have going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Pedro Nile is plotting.
Mm-hmm.
It's very boring. He's like, you might as well have just said, Robert Jordan, this is a military man, and so he's an asshole, so everything he does is going to be military asshole stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, Bayer, get out of my sight, go join the guys who are stationed outside the White Tower, including Valda, who isn't a character yet, but he will be eventually. I think he's the one who kills Pedro Nile.
Maybe. I don't...
There are honestly too many white cloaks to
I
keep
have
track
no
of.
concept. And their names all just sound really similar to me.
Yeah, and they all, like, embody the exact same role, which is being a douchebag.
They don't have any personality, so I'm like, oh, insert white cloak here.
They're all just, like, white guy who cares too much about religion. And I'm like, okay, great. That's where I grew up.
Yeah, welcome to Utah.
Yeah. Anyway, then Carradine comes in, and he's like, yeah, here's my bullshit turn of events, and Pedro Nile is like, okay, well, plot twist, I don't want you to kill the Dragon Reborn, I want you to make sure he does not die. Mm-hmm. And Carradine's like, but why, sir? And Nile is like, here's a bullshit metaphor about lions.
Yeah.
Which is that if you create a threat and then take it out, people will turn to you for leadership. And I'm like...
yeah.
So then Carradine leaves, and then Padon Fane, now going under the name Ordeath, which is like...
Or death.
Yeah, or death, just like more death.
Yeah.
Ordeath, Wormwood, his name is.
Yeah, like...
He just embodies this, like, creepy advisor. Like, that's a trope thing, isn't it?
Didn't we talk about
advisor?
it? Yeah, I think we talked about it in the Shadar Lagoth episode in particular. Like, it's the evil advisor.
Because that was what More Death was.
Yeah.
And now Padon Fane has, like, taken on this role in particular. He's gone from being, like, just a crazy peddler figure who's, like, I don't know, a crazy transient lunatic, to just now being, like, a crazy transient advisor. Like, he literally is advising everyone in this series at some point or another, it feels like.
Yeah, and so he's got his, and, like, especially Wormwood made me think of Wormtongue.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that everything has to have a Lord of the Rings parallel, it's just, like...
No, that one feels intentional.
Yeah. And it's just, very prevalent trope. Yeah.
It's also, my only other thoughts about this sequence is that, of course, Pedro Nile is one of our military guys, and I think later he's classified as one of the 5 great generals who, like, kind of captained the world's forces during the Ale War. Mm-hmm. So he, along with... Yeah, which is one of my big regrets is that we don't get more about the Ale War. I know. Because it's like this really interesting thing that happened in the very recent history of this world.
Yeah.
And, like, people are still, people who are alive, like, this is a contemporary event. Mm-hmm. Everyone witnessed it, more or less. And we have a bunch of characters who were alive when it happened. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, there was this interesting thing where there was an invading force and the otherwise fractured, countries kind of came together to face it. And failed, obviously. The Ale definitely won that one.
Yeah, but again, the Ale just wanted to kill one man
I
so
know.
badly. The Ale War is so interesting.
The Ale are so fucking iconic.
I know. They're like, I just want that one French guy, and we're like, big, relatable content
honestly,
from the Ale. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's referenced in the sequence. Niall is like, oh yeah, Ale have been seen pretty far west, which hasn't happened since... He says they literally haven't been past the spine of the world since the breaking, except for the Ale War.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that makes the Ale War the biggest event to happen in, like, ever. Mm-hmm. And we're just not talking about it enough, I guess. Or it doesn't color the world in a way that is... Like, I feel World War II was still majorly affecting Europe, the battlegrounds.
Oh my
20
god,
years
of course.
after, of course.
Yeah.
So it's like the Ale War, we just aren't really seeing that.
Yeah, yeah.
The closest we come is the visit to Kyrian when everything's still kind of burned out looking.
Yeah, they're still looking to rebuild the architecture and stuff.
But I'm like, I want more.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
You know, tell me more.
Tell me more. Did it go very far? And the Ale are like, yes.
And the other one, it went
all the way to Penis Tower. Yep. And that's where we ended it, because we took one look at that and we're like,
They're like, they peeked over the mountains and they're like, oh my god.
Oh god,
the
guys.
Penis Tower? What's
Have
wrong
you
with
seen
you?
it?
You guys are
Ew.
disgusting.
We're
We're
also
leaving.
Get out.
Gonna
Gaul
go
in
back.
particular was like 4 years old and was like, fuck this.
Gaul, 4-year-old warrior. Warrior.
I wouldn't put it past him. Okay.
I know, he'd probably be good at it too.
Anyway, Pedro Niall's a military guy, and he specifically has a few things that are reminiscent of Matt as military man.
Yeah,
in this
it's like
sequence.
dice.
Gambling, it's time to toss the dice, etc. And that's just sort of a general callback to, like, one of the, you know, general tropes. General, not like cumulative, but like general, like captain. Mm-hmm. One of those tropes is that they're gamblers, and we've had a lot of gambler generals in history. I think Julius Caesar is probably the most well-known one.
Is he a big gambly boy?
He was, I don't know, it's just like a metaphor that is used in the writing about him a lot, and you know, that he just kind of like took chances.
Yeah.
Because you have to when you're in war, stuff like that. But, I don't know, it's weird to set up this parallel between Niall and Matt.
Yeah.
Because they're about as opposite as two people can be.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that if we're taking Matt as I haven't gotten really into this part of the series at all. Only 2 captains, I guess, except Niall, who I forgot was one, because I forget about Pedro Niall on a regular basis.
Because he dies in a few books.
Yeah, and I'm like, good riddance
bye.
to bad rubbish.
Yeah.
But it's Davin Bashir, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Gareth Bryn was one. Mm-hmm. Pedro Niall, and then Etuarald, who I haven't met, and who's
oh, fuck.
number 5.
Agelmar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in Shiner.
The cool
We've already
Shiner
met
guy
him.
who I love.
Yeah.
So
you've now met 3 out of the 5.
yeah, I've met 3 out of... No, I've met 4
You've met
out
4
of
out of the 5, but in this...
In this series, we've
Yeah.
met 3 out of the 5. We haven't met Davin Bashir, my literal father,
Yeah,
yet.
we haven't met the 2 most iconic dads of the century. Davin Bashir, an actual dad. Etuarald, fatherhood status unknown, but very much a dad.
Nice.
Very
You
much
don't
a-
have to have children to be a dad.
Yeah, he's a dad figure.
Yeah.
He's just like, here I am, dadding it up over in Aradoman. Honestly.
Judy here on College Street with the raccoon.
Anyway, the
Okay.
other thing I noticed about this dumb sequence is that Pedro Niall is like, I'm so smart and rational, and then, like, the second Padon Fane is on screen, he, like, gets manipulated so
know.
easily. It's just like,
You're a fucking idiot.
Pedro Niall is, like, the epitome of an old man who thinks he's better than he is.
Yeah.
He's just, like, out of his time.
Yeah, he's past his
Peak.
use-by date, I guess.
Yeah.
What's interesting in this sequence that I wanted to bring up, this prologue, which... ugh, but Pedro Niall, like, lists all the things that are happening. He's like, the Ale are coming, and all these false dragons, and the Shanchan, etc., 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 which brings us back to something we talked about, I think, in the first episode ever of this podcast, which is wild. And I believe it was John Clute who wrote about this in the Encyclopedia of Fantasy, where, like, when you have... fantasy worlds are so often set up in, like, a place of decay, and it goes through this process of thinning, and meaning that, like, a lot of bad things are starting to happen in the world, and, like, chaos is sort of taking control, and that's really what we see starting to happen in force and in mass at the beginning of the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, like, the end of the Great Hunt is kind of the trigger event for that. We see a lot of stuff happening throughout the events of the Eye of the World and the Great Hunt, but it's hard to really classify them as thinning because they still feel like they haven't accumulated enough to be abnormal.
Yeah, and so we have that catalyst event on Tomon Head with Rand and Balsamon and the Shanshin and the White Cloaks and Matt blowing the Horn of Valir and et cetera, that, like, officially, like, and it's very interesting that it's, like, the blowing of the horn, like an actual, like, call to battle, like, something that's been used for centuries to, like, rouse soldiers, that, like, puts us directly on the track towards the last battle. So
good metaphor.
Thank you.
And that's just going to be kind of prevalent throughout this entire book, I guess, and through the coming books it's going to keep going, but this book is the weird space between this catalyst event, and as we find out now, there's been a time skip between the end of book 2 and now, like, an entire winter has passed, which is, I think, the only time, really, that this series has a time skip between books of a major period. Usually it's a few weeks, if that.
Yeah, or it just picks right back up.
Yeah, or picks right back up. This is, like, the one book where we're like, oh, well, it's seriously been, a hearty span of time.
Yeah. One last thing I want to say about the prologue is, like, going back to Pedro Nile as, like, a weird sort of foil or mirroring for Matt, is that it's interesting to obviously open Matt's first point of view book, where, like, a lot of this book is about his relationship to, like, luck and, like, understanding what it means for him specifically to be Ta'veren. But more, like, structurally speaking, I'm really interested in the idea that there are these, like, 5 great generals that everybody looks to as the great generals, who are then, like, mirrored in some way or another in Matt. And, like, obviously Rand has Luce Therin that he's coming up with, and we've talked about how kind of frustrating it is that we don't get to see that with anybody, but I think in, like, kind of a weird way you get that more, like, present time with Matt reflected against these 5 old crazy dudes.
Yeah, it's also telling that we then ride into the last battle, and this is a slight spoiler alert, but Pedro Nile is the only one who's died by the time we get to the last battle, so technically there are still 5 great generals. Matt's just sort of the weird wild card set who's like, well, here I am,
20 years old,
20 years old, a huge slut and ready to party,
probably high.
I just smoked a huge joint,
smoked a huge blunt, and ready for the apocalypse.
And Gawyn Bashir is like, big
like, yeah, pass that blunt.
There's a lot of fun stuff that happens with the generals in the last battle, but one of my biggest regrets is that my big, huge complaint about book 14 is that Matt isn't present earlier.
Yeah.
There's a big meeting of, people and minds in the early chapters of the book, and Matt's just kind of, like, off fucking cavorting like he usually is. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I want Matt to be here so Matt can roll in and be like, hello, I'm here to take command, so that we can see exactly the reactions of the 4 dudes. Like, Agomar's like, last time I saw this guy...
He was literally dying.
Gareth Bryn's like, who now? Mm-hmm. And Two-World's like, also who now? And Gawyn Bashir's like, I love him!
That's my son!
That's my actual son! Fuck Perrin!
Yeah. He's like, Perrin who?
Fuck Perrin!
Yeah, that's my boy!
Yeah, personality-wise, Bashir and Matt actually have very similar personalities. Anyway...
Staying in the Dragon Reborn
for a second. Then we bounce over to Caradin, who, I don't know. The only thing that happens is he gets threatened by a Murdrel who's like, okay, you might have been ordered to not kill the Dragon Reborn, but I want you to kill the Dragon Reborn. And it's like, what's he gonna do? Yeah. And that's supposed to be some sort of tension as to whether or not this dude who's been not a huge presence in the series... except peripherally, whether or not he's gonna kill Rand. And it's like, I'm only 3 books in, but my bet's on Rand.
Yeah.
Surviving an encounter with this loser.
Is the titular character.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, Caradin, you're not exactly big bad material, so I don't care about you, I don't care about this torture threat. It's boring and gross.
Yeah.
Can we get back to the real story? And we do. Cut to Perrin.
On a horse, in the snow.
In the mountains of West Virginia.
Mountain Mama.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Take me home to the place I belong. Are they in Andor? I never understood what mountains the fuck they were in.
They're in the mountains of Mist.
They actually called that?
I think so.
I've, like, basically never looked at this map once in a while.
Okay, so there are two major mountain ranges on this continent. There's the Spine of the World, over which the Ale lie. And there's the Mountains of Mist, quote-unquote, which separate Eridimon and Terabon from the rest of the world.
Okay. Because I did not know there was a secondary mountain range, I always imagined they were in the Spine of the World.
Interesting.
Because I'm good at geography.
I mean, like, how did you think they got over there?
I don't know. They, like you said, there was a time skip. Okay. And I was like, they were just walking for forever? Like, why did they bring Min with them?
I just can't. Well, period. Why did they bring Min with them? Why is Min there? It's so stupid.
Why is Min a character?
Why is Min a character? My girlfriend?
My girlfriend. Oh, that's my girlfriend. Okay. We bounce over to Perrin, and Perrin's being like, oh, I can smell really good, but I don't want to talk about it.
I can smell and see real good, and these bros that I'm with are pretty cool about it, but I still don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it's my personal business, and I'm fragile.
Yeah.
And we're all like, okay, great, Perrin.
If you told a bunch of Shinar soldiers that you had a psychic link with wolves, they'd be like, okay.
Would be like, literally couldn't give a fuck.
He's like, yeah, and?
So?
You're not special, Perrin.
You're not special. That happened to my mom. What the fuck are you talking about?
Who the fuck are you, fucking white person?
Jesus.
Well, I don't actually know.
What?
I don't actually know if Perrin is white. I sort of headcanon Perrin as like a nice man of color.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
he's like a pleasant,
big, burly, beautiful boy.
I picture, except for Rand, I picture them all with varying skin tones.
Yeah, I imagine Matt's pretty pink too, just because he complains about the sun so often.
Matt does complain about the sun a lot. Matt just runs through the ale waste, finds sunglasses and a hat the first thing he does, and is like, sunscreen? Haven't heard of her.
I know, Matt probably 100% has skin cancer.
Yeah,
because he's that white.
After that romp in the ale waste. Anyway,
Anyway, Perrin's like, blah, blah, my life is sad and I'm cold. Basically.
Yeah, there's a raven and they shoot it because there are a bunch of Shianarans. There's a whole argument about bows between Massima and Reagan.
I know about the longbow.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, boys.
Would you guys like to know a fun fact about bounty placed on birds?
Sure.
The world's only alpine parrot, the Kia, who are very fun birds, you should look them up, are naturally super curious that they haven't developed a healthy fear of humans, and so they're like interact pretty destructively with like human property, and they're also omnivorous, so sometimes they kill sheep. So in the 1860s, the New Zealand government, they're native to New Zealand, put a bounty on them where people could kill Kia for money. And so over the next, like, the bounty wasn't lifted until like the 1980s, and like 150,000 Kia were killed in New Zealand.
Hello, New Zealand and Australia. Why do you hate birds?
I know, they really don't like birds. So anyway, that was a random bird sidebar about not putting a bounty on birds.
Yeah, and I'm like, surely there are some ravens who aren't working for the Dark One, who are just like chilling, doing the raven thing.
Systemic raven prejudice.
Anyway, so it turns out they're waiting for a woman who is one of Moiraine's, this is unclear, but kind of as we get more info on Aes Sedai, it seems like Moiraine has a huge network of eyes and ears who are just like apparently all women, because women generally have better relationships to Aes Sedai. Yeah. We very rarely see men who are inhabiting this space.
Yeah.
They're just women working for Aes Sedai all around the world, which is really interesting, and although we see a lot of these characters, like, from the periphery, we don't get a lot of point-of-view characters who are like that.
Yeah.
Who are just, like, living their normal life and occasionally reporting to, you know, Varen or Moiraine.
Oh God, I would love it if one of our main characters was just, like, an innkeeper who reported to Varen on a regular basis.
Just like, hello. I know, it would be interesting if, like, Basil Gill, for example, was an Aes Sedai eyes and ears.
Basil Gill's the one man I love.
The perfect boy, I know. Speaking of dad energy.
Yeah.
But this woman rolls up, and she's a tinker, so of course Perrin is incredibly rude to her.
Yeah.
Because Perrin has a whack relationship with violence and non-violence, and at this point it's boring, even though we're only in book 3.
It's so boring. Perrin is at, like, the last book I read, A Crown of Swords, Perrin was in it minimally, which I think is when Perrin and I do best with each other.
Yeah.
But he, like, once Perrin, I don't know, starts to, like, accept a little bit more responsibility in his life, he becomes a little bit more manageable. But for, like, an extended period of time, Perrin is just, like, this pouty bastard about how he doesn't want to do violence, but he's so edgy that he's like, violence is an inherent part of the world.
He just, like, feels like he's been forced into this situation where he has to kill people. Yeah. And it's like, Perrin, that doesn't mean you have to be rude to people. Perrin inhabits this weird space where, and we see this later in the chapters we read, where he's very concerned about the space he inhabits and whether or not he frightens people or makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, he snaps at Min and then immediately is like, oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. And she's like, you're fine, it's chill.
Yeah.
But then he also is really aggressive about stuff like this, and it's just like, I don't know, you need to commit to one or the other. Like, either be a soft boy or be a dick.
Yeah, and he's a dick about weird things.
Yeah, it's just like, this is particularly unbearable because, like, as a woman who has had my opinions and views questioned aggressively by men, it's like, okay, yeah, I've been where, what's-her-name, Leia is.
Yeah.
And, of course, because she's a woman and she's a woman written by a man, she can't snap at Perrin or tell him to fuck off. She's just like, well, you seem so sad.
For one so young. It would be iconic if Leia was just like, hey, fuck off.
Hey, fuck off, it's not your business.
Yeah.
Hey, like, I'm not asking you to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just, like, such a... Like, for Perrin to believe he has the right to be this rude about somebody else's belief system is unforgivable.
Yeah, it just makes me despise him. I don't remember how I used to get through this. I was always just kind of like, ugh. But now I'm like, okay, that's particularly... Just, like, it's not just immature, it's just plain, outright bad behavior for anyone of any age.
Yeah, and everyone talks about Perrin being, like, even in text, they're like, Perrin is the politest one. And I'm like, no.
Perrin is polite until he meets a member of the Tuathon, apparently, and then he's a dick.
Apparently he's a little racist.
Yeah. So, well, that goes to show you. Because, like, he's like, oh, if they're not going to fight for themselves, then I have to be responsible for them. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Pacifist communities aren't asking you to protect them.
Yeah.
They make their choice fully, like, cognizant of how other people may or may not help them out.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating because it's like Perrin just refuses to believe that these people understand how the world actually functions. Like, he infantilizes them to just, a criminal point, basically, in my view.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, these are children who don't understand how the world works, otherwise they wouldn't have made such a childish decision.
It's like, Perrin, you are 20 and have been through 3 hard things.
Yeah.
So, please chill.
Yeah, and again, it's just like, it's like, Perrin, what other people do has no impact on you. You do not have to let it affect you.
Yeah, so... That's annoying.
A little bit emotionally intelligent, for once. Perrin has 0 emotional intelligence.
How is Matt the most emotionally intelligent boy? That blows my mind every single time. But Matt's the only one who ever is like, oh, I understand what they might be feeling right now. Yeah. I may or may not ignore it, but I do empathize.
He's like, it is my decision whether or not to acknowledge it, but I do understand that they are having a feeling. One single human feeling.
Matt's just so fucking emotionally clever. And I can't wait to get into his point of view, but, like, that scene where the girls are like, will you deliver this letter? And in about 0.3 seconds, he's like, okay, fuck you. What's actually going on here?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't how you guys operate. I know better.
I can't wait to talk to about that scene, because it's got the best line of all time, where Elaine's like, when you do this for your queen, and it's like, Matt snickered.
Matt's like...
And that's like, I, the most anti-monarchist you'll ever meet.
Matt's like, fuck the monarchy.
Yeah.
Fuck you specifically, Elaine. And I'm like, yes, agree.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we are not to Matt yet.
Tragically, we have to read another Perrin point of view.
Yeah, we keep going with Perrin. They deliver Leia to the camp. She goes to see Moiraine. Mm-hmm. Then Min comes up and is like, well, she's gonna die. And Perrin's like, rough.
Yeah.
And Min's like, yup. Mm-hmm. And they talk about Min's viewings for a little while and whether or not she should share them with people around her. Yeah. And it's like, boring. We've been over this.
Like 100 times.
Then Loyal comes up and there's a, fairly cute camaraderie-filled conversation. Again, Min generally, has so much potential to be a good character. And in her interactions with Perrin or Matt, she's a normal person.
Yeah. It's
just when she is interacting with women who are also romantically interested in Rand, or Rand himself, that she becomes the most insufferable character on the page. I know.
And so it's just, again, really sad that her love interest deteriorates her character instead of lifting her character.
Mm-hmm. Love interest should make you better, not worse. That's
Yeah.
a rule in life and in writing. Otherwise, it's boring to read, and I want it to be called out for being toxic.
Yeah, if it's not intentional, if you're just like, look at my love interests, they're fighting. And I'm like,
okay, great. I love it when I see marriages doomed to divorce. Like,
oh my god, I know.
come on.
Anyway, sorry, I just think Wheel of Time has a lot of toxic marriages. Parents
Yeah, it does.
being first and foremost.
Yeah. Perrin and Rand do not have a healthy relationship among them.
No.
And, Matt is on the border there. We'll talk about it more when we get into Tuon. Okay.
Okay.
Fucking hell. So, then Rand storms out and is like, I'm angry. And there's this weird thing where all the Shienarans are like, hello, my Lord Dragon, let us serve you. And Rand's like, okay, no. And runs away. And Perrin's like, alright, well, he's gonna be emo, I better go talk to him. Which is like...
a good Perrin moment.
Good for you, Perrin.
Yeah. It's basically exactly what he says, too.
I know. Perrin's like, am I even still his friend?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I knew him before, so I
Yeah.
guess I have to talk to him. Whatever.
Unfortunately.
So I guess I'll do the emotional labor in this outfit. And it's like, you never have before in your life, so yeah, you might as well get started now.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Give
it the old college try.
So Perrin goes and finds Rand in his favorite hiding spot, and they have a conversation about how this whole stay in the fucking mountains in the winter is pointless, and it's filling Rand with guilt because shit is happening in the Almouth Plain. What's the Alsace Lorraine? Yeah, that's the equivalent of the Almouth Plain, apparently, that like these two countries are constantly fighting over it so that no one really knows whose it is or if it is anyone's. So anyway, they're still fighting on the Almouth Plain, only now added to the mix are these people who are like, we love the Dragon Reborn and we are fighting for him. And Rand's like, I'm in the mountains and can't care for you. And also I'm 20 and couldn't care for you anyway. Because I'm stupid. And don't have the resources.
Yeah, I'm stupid and poor.
I'm very poor. Look, I have 6 Shienarn soldiers and Moiraine. And I guess Perrin.
He's like, and Percy.
What's his name? Percy? Mark and Percy.
Mark and Percy.
This is the scene too, or earlier, is where Loyal's like, I think I'm gonna write a book.
Oh my god.
And he's like, oh no, they're gonna make fun of me. And Min's like, that's great.
I know.
And I'm like, good for you, Min.
If Min was a purely platonic character with everyone, I think I would like her a lot.
Exactly.
Or if she was a lesbian.
Hello, consider that.
Yeah.
Who would Min be a good lesbian with? Elaine.
Yeah, I was about to say
the
that.
two worst characters.
Yeah, then maybe they'd improve each other.
Yeah, then maybe they'd, offset each other.
And then Edwina and Avienda could
and
be
Edwina
in love.
and Avienda could be in love, and Rand would end up with... Probably it's better if he doesn't end up with any.
Yeah, I think Rand needs to take care of Rand first.
Yeah, Rand?
Before he starts impregnating
Focus
people.
on yourself and the voice in your head before
you
you
get a
start
good relationship.
getting teen mothers pregnant. I know. We can't talk about it. Anyway, Perrin and Rand have this heart-to-heart about Rand being frustrated and Perrin being frustrated, and it doesn't really go anywhere, and then Rand makes an earthquake.
Yeah.
Because he has no control over his magical power.
Yes.
And it's all very, this is kind of one of, 3 Rand interactions we're going to get before he fucks off.
Yeah.
So this is, the only outside indicator of what's going on with Rand.
Yeah.
Before he fucks off.
Yep.
And it's Rand in this sequence is just it's like he's not there. It's very sad.
Yeah.
He's just walking around talking, but is somewhere totally different.
Yeah.
Which is, again, sad and upsetting, but also really well written. For it kind of immediately conveys that Rand is having some serious psychological issues.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that that's kind of weighed down by the legacy of male channelers, so that Perrin's not just oh, he's traumatized.
Yeah.
It's, oh, he might be going crazy.
Yeah.
And that's a line that is a little bit interesting to play with, especially as we get later into this book, when it's through Rand's point of view. But, it can be a little frustrating, too, because it's I do just want Rand to get the therapy that he needs.
I just want all of them to go to therapy
really
really bad.
I know. They'd all...
Especially Rand.
Anyway, that's the extent of the plot and that we read.
Yeah. It's if we're talking about how the Eye of the World has this sort of naive country energy of kids going out into the world, and the Great Hunt has this really dark and creepy energy. That's very violent. The Dragon Reborn sets us up to have, like, a whole lot of confused energy, I think.
Confused and traumatized energy. There's just, like, a lot of... when I was putting together the reading schedule, was, like, just looking at who has the majority of the points of view. And it's almost entirely Perrin, Edwene, and Matt. With Edwene, I think, coming in first, Perrin in second, and then Matt.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because Edwene has gone through a major trauma, Matt's gone through a major trauma, and Perrin is sort of constantly in recovery from a major trauma.
Yeah.
Is still sort of coming to terms with it. And all of that is surrounding Rand, whose actions are driving the plot forward, and who's also just been through a major trauma. And it's just very interesting. Like, we don't get a lot of Nynaeve, who hasn't been through something.
Yeah,
she's been through stuff, but not to the extent of what happened to
Edwene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about, like, the levels of trauma that we're getting. We're getting trauma on, like, a geopolitical scale when we talk about what it means to have people believing that Rand is the Dragon Reborn, not a false dragon, and we see trauma on a very personal scale with what's happening to Rand, and we see, you know, then we start to see trauma on, like, a textual level where the book itself actually functions as a traumatized text, where the points of view, like, points of view that we've been relying on disappear, and, like, the Rand points of view that we have are really sporadic and really disjointed, and we get Matt sort of having this point of view that springs up in the middle of the story with, like, absolutely no background to it. So...
And with, literally no context to support Matt.
Yeah, he just sort of springs to life on the page in a very, like... Yeah. So it'll be interesting to talk more about the Dragon Reborn as, like, a physically traumatized structure in addition to everything that's happening with the characters themselves.
I think it's one of the reasons it is so compulsively readable.
Yeah.
It's just, like, it's a really well-written, traumatized narrative. Like, and that can be really interesting to read. It isn't always fun, but it is really interesting. Yeah. Although, generally speaking, the Dragon Reborn does a great job of balancing fun, aka Matt blowing up the Stone of Tyr, or kicking Gawyn and Gilead's asses.
Yeah, and just gambling across Tarvalon.
Yeah, Matt is just...
having his Lotus Eater moment.
Matt really brings the manic energy in this.
I just love Matt. Guys, I'm sorry that we talk about Matt so much, but I don't know if I love a character as much as I love Matt.
Okay. Anyway, that's where we're leaving off for now. Next week we'll be back kind of with, obviously, more Perrin, but, you know, there will be a Trolloc attack, and I think where we finish off, Rand will disappear. So,
nice. We're gonna lose our boy.
Lose the boy. Lose the boy. Lose the world. Save the cheerleader. Save the world.
Save the cheerleader. Rand, the cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
Shave the Shave
the shepherd.
Save the shepherd. Save the world.
Okay.
Save the sheep herder. That sounds like cheerleader, kind of.
Yeah, it does, actually.
Save the sheep herder.
Cheerleader. Yeah.
It's like a slant rhyme.
Okay, we'll go there.
Save the sheep herder. Save the world.
We'll work on it.
It's a work in progress.
We'll workshop it. Okay, housekeeping. We will be back next week with a episode proper. Also, sometime in the future, our episode with the White Tower podcast will be released as well. It's not going to be on our normal schedule. It might be for the White Tower, but for us, it'll just be a bonus.
Yeah, just a super exciting thing. We're really excited to sit down and talk with them. Really excited that they're willing to have us.
Yep.
So look forward to that. You might get a double dose of EHR next week or in the weeks coming. I can't talk. Talking about what we're reading next week, be sure to go over to everybodyhatesrand.com where you'll be able to find the Dragon Reborn reading schedule if you want to read along with us. That, of course, is a living document. Emily set it up as sort of our guidelines for the season, but you never know what's going to happen, so it'll be updated regularly if you want to read along. Finally, making a more serious announcement, we are really interested in commissioning somebody to make us a theme song. We'd love to have something. I know a lot of you out there make really wonderful stuff, so if you're interested in talking more about that, please email us at everybodyhatesrand@gmail.com. I'm sorry, I'm confusing it with our Twitter handle, EHR Podcast. Or you can DM us on Twitter or Instagram or Tumblr or however you want to get in contact with us, but we'd love to pay somebody to make us some jazzy tunes.
Yeah, otherwise I will be forced to download music-making software and do it myself, and we don't want that.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Not one of my talents, people.
Emily and I are musically very stupid.
Okay, though.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
I do also want to, one last housekeeping thing. I think you all should start submitting sign-offs. I think it would be fun.
Oh my god.
Because I think it's very cathartic to share the embarrassing and traumatic things that happen to you. I'm not to be dramatic, but I think my confidence and ability to move through the world has improved over the last year when I'm like, oh, if something bad happens to me, I'll just share it on EHR, and it actually becomes kind of funny. So I think you should do it. I think it'd be fun. You can also email those to everybodyhatesrand@gmail.com. There's a contact form on our website. Just submit it with the, subject line, sign off, and your name or something.
If you want it to be anonymous, it totally
can be. Let me know. I'm probably too annoying about asking people whether or not they want to be anonymous, but nonprofit fundraising has drilled that into the front of my skull, like a lobotomy.
Gross. Well, for now, you can sign us off.
Fuck.
Do you not have
No,
one?
let me think for a second.
Okay.
Bad shit happens to me all the time.
I can think of one, too.
I got nothing.
Okay.
I got nothing.
I'll sign us off. This week, I rolled into work, and one of my coworkers was like, did you hear? I work in Park City, and it is Sundance Film Festival the weekend that we are recording this. And one of my coworkers was like, did you hear that the Marvel men will be coming to our workplace for cocktail hour on Monday? Monday is the day we are recording this. And I was like, I did not hear that, and I do not care. And he was like, what? How can you not care? And I was like, who do you even mean, the Marvel men? And he was like, like Robert Downey Jr. And I was like, the last thing I want on this cold, dark earth is for Iron Man to roll into my workplace. Because then I will personally have to kick his ass back to 2009 where he belongs. Anyway, I'm pretty sure he dreamed that and then just, was willing it into reality. But then it infected me because last night I had a dream about a variety of celebrities coming into my workplace. And the entire time I was just sitting there thinking, will they tip me?
Oh, yeah. That's a big question. Will they?
Will Iron Man give me a decent tip?
Probably not.
Yeah. I don't remember. I woke up before the dream ended. So anyway, happy week.
Happy week.
Bye.
Bye.